Hello, everyone. I thought I would read to you at least a good chunk of chapter one of the Ecstasy and the Ignominy, at least until up to the part where people start talking, because I wanted to give you a good sense of the atmosphere that I'm trying to evoke at the beginning of the story. And of course, now some of this has been edited, some of this you've heard before, some of this you haven't heard before, and it will likely be edited again before the book is released. But here is the current rendition. There is a kind of silence that transcends thought and memory. It is the emptiness we feel when the Promethean spark of nature goes out and the world becomes cold and ashen. Eventually, passion becomes a forgotten harmony, and nothing, not even time itself, can make the music play again. For beauty has fallen from heaven, and we are alone in the dark. Memories never truly die, they simply sail on the lustres of our tears. They are like sonorous susurrations in the mesmeric gales of sleepless time, through which all sentient ecstasies evanesce into penumbral welkins. The most poignant of redolences whisper and harmonize, beholden to the ornate passions that zestfully beautified them with remembrance. But just as the sun must acquiesce to the despondency of the moon, so must the raptures of the spirit fade into the orchards of phantom ruminations. Like melancholy nectars of wistful rain, my thoughts became blind to the luminescent caresses of my past. They found refuge upon the surface of a cross, the pious treasure that bedimmed the stars of my heart. No longer two distinct entities, the cross and my conscience melded together, forever entangled in the vespers of my dreams. Lost in a sea of misbegotten sophistry, my spectre embraced the piety of dawn, like a loquacious sonnet bleeding over into a prosaic soliloquy. I endured, regardless of how many tears fell from heaven. Stepping into the ebullient light of morning, my extremities quivered in response to the birth of day. Pencils of feverish sunlight penetrated the silvery veils in the sky, remarkably obsequious in their opalescence. As the gray drapes dissolved into the requiems of night, a violescent glow descended upon the earth, washing over my resplendent lineaments. Shimmering like a moonlit sky, my cerulean eyes harmonized with the diurnal pageantries, blooming into celestial sapphires. My aquiline nose, forever indebted to the aromas of youthful spring, pulsated with gentle fervency, as if touched by the caresses of angels. Hues of tangerine intermingled with the diaphanous gold that pigmented my supernal hairline, almost suppressing the streaks of alabaster that longed for clemency. Caught in a twilight between auroral precocity and wintry erudition, my visage was an iridescent conduit for God's beauteous alchemy. My gaze followed the pencils of amber illumination, hesitating for a moment before finally settling upon a myriad of glacial mountain peaks, the tips of which were bedecked with ivory snow. The soul of apricity stroked the icy surfaces, as if lamenting over the swan song of winter. The lustrous refinements of celestial embroidery draped over the monolithic crowns, bedecking them with crystalline lambency. Sullen and tenebrous, the hazel clouds concorded with the tawny rays, not only beguiling their exaltations, but also enrapturing the hibernal glitters, thus conceiving an austere haze. It was as though the ghost of winter haunted the life-blood of spring, as though the nightingales of nature whispered dreams of flowers that would never bloom. Winter never truly dies, for sorrow is eternal. Surrounded by a sea of aquacious white, my lower ligaments pugnaciously trembled, weary of the respiratory vigor of arctic profundity. I was on the edge of the world, the realm where all chimeras perish. I was not just living in the unknown, I was married to it. My soul had left the lustres of colloquial ecstasy, in search of a translucency that glimmered only in the recesses of my mind. The ice beneath my feet was like a somnolent blanket, one which endeared itself to my baroque sensibilities. The foundation was fraught with plush agonies, all of which rigidified the yearnings of the soul. I was standing on the frozen tiers of March, forever dreaming of April. Immune to the vitalities of viral auroras, my gaze descended towards the partially frozen stream that had once been an antecedent for my tremulous lamentations. Every ripple was like an auspicious reminiscence, and every undulation was like a nascent ambrosia. The umbras of the mountains gallivanted on the diminutive tides, as if longing for contrition. The water was serene and fluorescent, much like I once had been. It flowed with the spheres of ice, resistant to the frigidities that had entranced the birth of spring. To the water, spring was only a memory, its gyrations sailing on the currents of time. Before my thoughts could float on the tides of my past, a lofty shadow loomed over me. It was the shadow that had darkened the sunlight within my heart, stolen the pillars of my youth, and extinguished the autonomy imprisoned within my etherealities. Like an ominous cloud suffocating the breath of the sun, the shadow bedimmed the sea of gold upon my crown, blackening my radiant splendors. Even as the sun peeked over the horizon, my essence remained confined in a moonless night. As my gaze ascended towards his threadbare countenance, my lips pulsated, my cheekbones contracted, and my eyes solidified. His crumpled neckline, putrid and irksome, caused my skin to slither with fervent trepidation. Gaunt and sallow, his physiognomy reminded me of derelict foliage sighing on dreary autumn mornings. Flurries of snow circulated through his argent hairline, like tears oscillating through breaths of wind. There was a mirthful acrimony in his gesticulations, its edges leaving a scar on the fragments of my forlorn heart. The walls of time, stoically ambivalent in their amalgamations, stood between our procession of spectral passions, the hearts of which had already perished on wistful seas. And that's when the dialogue begins. So I just thought I would read you that introductory portion.